So this is the January 9th meeting of the Hadley Climate Change Committee and calling it to order. Hopefully Michael Doctor will be coming soon, but in the meantime, if we can approve the minutes for December 2024, is there a motion and then a second?
Yeah, I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, and a vote?
Okay.
All right, so unanimous. So first of all, let's start with updates. So we have been working steadily with Chris Desjardins, who's the business manager for the schools, with Gary Berg, who is the building manager for the town. I don't know his exact title. And we have been trying to get some of these things moving forward so we can get some of these projects built and done. So one thing that Gary wrote yesterday, he said, I just checked with AMP Electric and they said that the rebates are taken at the supply house. It would be good to get this project done as it is dark outside where the aerators are and someone could get hurt. Chris Desjardins is saying that he can provide the cost of electricity for the schools and the cost of natural gas. And the schools currently pay 13 cents per kilowatt hour. Which is a little lower than the rate we pay because they're part of a larger collaborative. And it does appear that we can put these items forward to the select board, hopefully between now and our...
No, we don't have to put anything to the select board.
It's all approved?
It's already approved.
Well, we can get Mimi moving on these projects through Chris and through Gary. One thing I want to say is over the holiday break, I had a chance to walk Hopkins Academy with Chris, and he showed me the gaps in the doors, and he showed me what a significant problem it is that the gaps are not sealed.
Just leaks air 24/7.
It just leaks air.
Where are the gaps?
On every exterior door, there's actually a visible gap, and if they make them tighter, the problem is, and you know best, you've taught there.
Closing them, right?
Well, if it's too tight, what happens is in the summer, the sun comes up on these metal doors and will actually
Makes sense.
seal them shut.
Yeah.
So it's a real concern. And Mr. Mish, the custodian, actually said that he will set it up in such a way where they will have two different types of, I don't know,
Like this,
the sweeps,
edge part.
the edge pieces, so they can work in the summer and they can work in the winter. But it was really interesting to go back to Hopkins and to see how significant this is. And it was just very good timing because they were waxing the floors, so we could get around to all the other areas and see this. So this will be wonderful if we can get the money split.
Yeah, well, I think it's gonna happen.
So Kathy, I know Michael's not here. We were hoping he would be here. He did say that he would join us. Do you want to say who's our representative from this group working on the solar study?
Didn't we decide that last time that it would be Michael?
Yeah, but I just wanted to confirm it
Right,
for the
and then I
minutes.
emailed the committee to say our person.
Yeah. So more and more of the different town agencies, like the planning board, for example, they've been coming in with their person, and so they will be studying solar on the landfill and see if it's worthwhile. Okay. Any other
Submitting the
updates?
names to the
Do you
select
know
board.
anybody else
Yeah.
who's on the committee? Do you know anybody else?
Parmore, I don't know if that's how you say his first name.
Par?
I don't know how to
I'll
spell
look
it,
it up.
I don't know how to say it,
I
but
mean,
and he's coming in from the finance committee.
Parmar. That's
Parmar,
his
oh,
last name.
good, Michael is coming
All right.
momentarily.
P-A-R-M-A?
P-A-R-M-A-R, that's his last name.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, here we go.
and how about this, let's hold on this, I'll go with the announcements, and then when Michael comes back, he can finish filling us in. So these are two announcements for everybody who's watching, for everybody who's listening today. So at the Hadley Public Library on Saturday, January 18th at 10:30, led by Ed Goldberg, he's a retired
Golding.
UMass
Golding, sorry.
Golding. He's a retired UMass faculty member. He is offering a chance to join an environmental discussion group. It has nothing to do with this group, but this is just information for people who might be interested. He has put out, and you can find this information at the front desk at the library, that possible topics include climate change, pollution and health, conservation, and energy transitions. What you need to do if you're interested in joining this particular discussion group is contact Sue Brown at the library and just get on the list and they will confirm. Ed has come in to these meetings over the last few years. He used to be involved with some of the shade tree group things here, and he's trying to start this other group to see what people are saying.
Is he from Hadley?
He's from Hadley.
He will join us?
No.
He cannot.
He has said he wouldn't be able to join.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He has been asked.
Several times?
He's been asked.
He kind of has his own agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Michael.
So here's a second announcement, and then we'll circle back to solar on the landfill. So this is about trash pickup from Pioneer Valley Waste. What they did is they sent it to me. Yeah, because they haven't put that out. They were asking different people to offer candidates. That wasn't one with a list of all the candidates.
Well, a couple people have emailed and said, this is our person.
Yeah.
But I think you named them, so.
Yeah. So, Town of Hadley and Jack Zykowski, sorry we can't be there in person. They were invited to this meeting today, but here's a breakdown of our services. Remember, this is Pioneer Valley Waste. So they are reminding people in Hadley that you have a choice of just doing trash or doing trash and recycling. Option 1 is trash and recycle is $38 a month. Trash is picked up weekly on
Wait,
Thursdays.
Can I interrupt? It's kind of illegal to not have recycling. You can't just have trash.
They're putting their options out on
I'm just saying,
what they offer.
be careful how you say that.
Well, I'm just reading it verbatim of what they sent me. And recycling every other third week on Thursdays. And then they do have option 2 if people want just trash only. Maybe they don't need recycling or composting and it's picked up weekly on Thursdays. That's what they're writing here.
Are they talking composting too? Do they say
They're picking
composting
up
there?
compost.
No,
they
no,
don't say
Oh,
no.
okay, you
No,
said
all
This is
the-
why we need Hall.
It's just
regularly.
trash and recycling.
Right, but not composting, yeah.
And then the other is just trash. So have your totes to the curb by 7 a.m. Totes and recycling. Totes are 96 gallons each. There's no contract and no additional service fees. We only pick up what's on inside of the totes and extra trash on the outside of the totes. Call the office and let them know and they'll offer pickup for a fee. They have no intention of raising our prices. We haven't raised them in over a year and a quarter. That's not a long sample size, but we take them at their word. They are significantly cheaper for people who have USA. You'd pay about 60% of the cost. They're about 40% cheaper.
So what's their price again?
$38 per month for trash and recycling.
For trash and
Yep.
recycling?
Yep. And Michael, let's go back to 3.2. If you have any updates on solar, this is the perfect time.
Yeah, 2 progress updates. The select board met yesterday and approved the members of the steering committee for the solar, and it's a great group of people that I look forward to working with. The planning board member that also works for Eversource is on it. I've forgotten his name. I don't have the. I was trying to dig up.
Is it Michael?
No, maybe it's not.
All right.
There's somebody from the planning board. There's somebody for the finance committee who's going to be great. And
Is that Parmar?
Parmar Mr. Matusko is back up for him, which will be great. And John LaPere, Jane, myself, and
Jane's gonna represent the selectmen?
yes. So anyway, it's a good group. There's one individual from PV Squared, which is he lives in Hadley. He's a solar contractor. John LaPere has a lot of electrical engineering experience and is really sharp.
What's John's role? Is he coming from a board or a committee or no?
He's a Hadley resident.
Okay.
But he works for PV Squared.
No, this other individual works for PV Squared. John's just a really sharp person who's done a lot of commercial work and electrical engineering work, and will be good to just kind of, yeah. So we're gonna get our first meeting soon and start rolling that ball down the court. At the same time, I understand from Jessica that the legal review occurred and was completed on the contract with Solar Design Associates, and that they now have that contract in their possession. I haven't seen it, but that's good news as well, so that should be proceeding as well. So those are the two
So
updates.
how does this move forward? I know that at town meeting we approved X amount of dollars.
Right, for that contract,
They have to.
but for
accept-
Solar
On
Design.
their side, they have to accept the contract now.
Yeah, well, they gave us their boilerplate contract, and I think the town hopefully didn't make it
Complicated, yeah.
overcomplicate it, which is sometimes required, or at least perceived to be the required. And so, anyway, I haven't heard from them. I didn't get a chance to call them today to find out, whether they had any concerns. But I'm assuming that's all ready to be executed by them, and then they're ready to begin their process with doing an initial design, layout, and submitting that to Eversource, and then we wait for Eversource to get back to us to find out what's required. And once they have that initial design, we can begin to shop that design to the Conservation Commission. We can begin to figure out what are the other steps we need to do. And also, we should do some grant raising, as that committee will want to do some grant raising to get some technical support to do some more in-depth financial analysis of the project, and help us analyze it. Grateful for Tony Fiden's suggestion that we create that steering committee. It's going to be a big help, so thank you for doing that. So. Okay, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so a question came up at our last meeting about rivers and dams and all of that, and it's really complicated. It's really interesting. This is something that we can look at. We can go to Michael Mason and see if he has any ideas. My brother Joe actually met with First Light and Power. So they are an energy producer. They're based in Canada. They used to be based down south. And he met with them along with Senator Joe Comerford and Natalie Blais. And he sat down and he said, what can you all promise, what can you commit to do some sort of synchronized releases, synchronized controls on the rivers? And the folks from First Light and Power were very gracious, and they certainly listened. And I'm not sure what concrete actions they will take.
They didn't say that they're already doing that right now?
Well, they were saying lots of different things about what they're doing, but they also sort of circled back and said, some of these dams are actually under the control of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Well, apparently all, not maybe theirs, but all of the other ones
All
are.
the flood control ones.
So
Well,
from,
they're also for making energy, but it does, from what I could tell, it falls under the jurisdiction of the Army Corps.
so
There's
listen to.
two different kinds of dams. There's the energy producing ones,
Yeah.
which are primarily on the main stem of the Connecticut River, the Holyoke Dam, the Yankee,
Yeah.
so on up. And then there's these large, more primitive dams that the Corps manages that are on a lot of the tributaries,
Okay.
such as, I can't come anyway, and they have them on
Like the
many
Bell
of the
River and,
many of the little tributaries, a lot of them, most of them in Vermont, and they leave them empty until we get a big storm, and then they let them fill up. And presumably that, my understanding is that's where they try to moderate. They, you know, if you watch the river after any big flood, it goes up fast and then it stays at a level for a week, and that's because they're letting go all these flood control dams. The Corps is coordinating. That's that's my understanding.
Yeah, so here are some of the things that you can get from the website related to this. And on this week's agenda or this month's agenda, I actually put the links to it. So the Connecticut River Sustainability Rivers Program site currently involves 14 U.S. Army Corps of Engineer dams on 9 tributaries across 4 states. And this all relates to the Connecticut River. This large project entails significant research on the benefits provided by the dam, the environmental needs in the river basins, the effect on potential modifications. A total of 70 reservoirs are being considered for eventual inclusion in this project, making this one with potential benefits to humans and wildlife throughout the entire region. They go on, when it comes to Massachusetts flood risk management projects, they go on to say, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has constructed dams and reservoirs, a hurricane protection barrier, and that is along New Bedford, sort of the southern coast of Massachusetts, and local protection projects to significantly reduce flooding damage in Massachusetts. So Michael, this goes back to your point where some of this is being done. The 11 Corps-built and operated dams in Massachusetts cost a total of $44 million to construct. They also offer the public a variety of recreational opportunities and enhance the state's environment. The hurricane protection barrier in New Bedford dissipates hurricane tides, protects the shoreline from coastal storm flooding. That cost about $18.6 million to build. The Corps has completed 28 other flood risk management projects in Massachusetts at a cost of $135 million. These local protection projects provide flood protection to specific communities rather than wide areas of the state. Local protection projects in Massachusetts are operated and maintained by respective municipalities, except for the Charles River Dam, which is operated and maintained by the state. So it's interesting, you can actually go to this bottom site on here, and you can find Northampton flood control related to the dam. And you can find other cities. You can find them for Holyoke, you can find them for West Springfield. They didn't have Hadley listed as a separate line item. But it's really just a click away to see how much is already happening with this.
So did Joe feel like they thought there was room for improvement in terms of their coordination of the release of water, or was it?
What he said is he thought that they were very, very good listeners, and there were very few promises.
right.
And those are for the dams that raise money, you know, the hydro-funded dams. So again, between now and next month's meeting, I can try to get a hold of Michael Mason and see if he knows anything more about this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just an enormous endeavor.
Was that the man who gave a presentation? I'm trying to, who's Michael Mason?
He's our interim town manager
Oh,
He's
sorry.
fire
Chief of
Police.
and police chief too. Yes,
Yeah, sorry.
There's so many names.
yes.
Okay.
It does sound like some of this is happening. They're not just letting everything flood.
Well, I mean, I just don't know how much they can do when it rains 10 inches everywhere, not just in one spot,
Right,
but
the
everywhere.
dams aren't gonna
That is,
do that.
and then all that water ends up in one place. You can, it's all going over the dam. The dam's only so high, you know. I guess sometimes they let the dams go to try to release some pressure on them, but they try not to do that.
Mm.
It would mean a whole telecommunication system that runs up and down and like kind of how, I mean, maybe there's an engineer out there who can think of like the timing of everything, but I would
think
imagine.
they're already doing most of it.
What's that?
They're already in
Yeah.
close. Yeah, that's why they're able to keep the banks where they do after most storms.
Let me see if Michael Mason knows more about this.
Yeah.
Do you know of any other people around the town who might be experts on this? All right, I'll start with him. And
Maybe
then I'll,
ask him about the dike too while you got him.
yeah, okay.
Right, because that's something that needs attention.
So 4.4 is brainstorming new topics for 2025 and beyond. On February 5th, we will be sharing, Kathy and I will be sharing information with the select board about some of the things we're working on, what some of the things we've done, and some of the things we hope to do. So what are some of the things that come up as ideas you would like to see this committee working on for 2025 and beyond?
I send you the thing about the water, and so if it's possible to, it's like chemicals and the plastic and all the stuff that,
Yeah. So PFAS
yeah,
was one,
right,
okay? But also plastics
yeah,
in the water.
right.
Well, we kind of addressed that. Do we want to look at that again?
Yeah, I think that
It's not a bad idea.
that's a big issue. What happened in Leverett is there's a number of people who had their water wells shut down. They
Because they were
actually,
contaminated.
because they were contaminated, and they actually had to have Amherst run a water line to provide drinkable water for people in those houses.
Wow.
Were these houses on a well?
All of
And
Leverett,
these are
Leverett's all on a well.
these are like those like forever chemicals.
The
Yeah.
PFAS, the
So
forever
the people
chemical.
are
Did
tapped
we-
in all to the same well?
So if you think about North Amherst on Route 63, and if you think about, what would that be? South Leverett, I guess. There were some people around Juggler Meadow Road and T-Waddle, and I'm just trying to think of some of the other roads and lanes that are there. They could not drink their water from the wells because it was all polluted.
Mm-hmm.
And the towns worked together, Leverett and Amherst, and they were able to run some lines
Mm-hmm.
to feed people the
So
water
does
that
that
they
mean the
needed.
soil in that area is polluted?
Probably, if the water is.
Was it PFAS contamination or something else?
People were testing for PFAS and other things. But it was a really significant event for that part of town. Now, altogether, I think it was like 12 houses, something like that, but, you know, Leverett's very spread out, and it was a big issue.
Yeah, because you said like Hadley controls the water pretty well, but I want to be sure that we don't have that in the water.
Yeah, so when we pay our water bills, at least occasionally, they will send a water quality report
Right. Yeah.
and tell us about that.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're in compliance, but not always.
Yeah.
And there's a number of things they're testing for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good one to raise.
Yeah.
Anything else?
we're talking about winds. Well, we don't have too much problem of about fire, but the
Well, we don't
winds,
have problems now with fire, but
yeah,
we
right.
topsoil, kind of topsoil, losing topsoil.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like the winds are getting faster and faster and faster. So
Yeah. We can take a look at erosion related to that.
yeah.
Michael, how much of a problem did you see with when you were farming?
Well, today you could see a lot of erosion in the air, and yesterday and the day before, and that happens some winters and springs when the topsoil gets really dried out, and if there's a field that was recently worked and doesn't have a cover crop on it, and hasn't had a rain to kind of settle it down since the time it worked, and big wind, it's blowing around. We have a lot of topsoil in Hadley. We're unique compared to most other farming regions. We have meters of it as opposed to inches of it. So I'm sure it could be a problem over time, but it's a long, long time in terms of, you know, that becoming a major issue. It's from a soil loss point of view. From an air quality issue, you know, it's probably not great to be breathing those fine particulates. There's probably pesticides, you know, in some level. It's just, even if there's no pesticides,
Still, who wants
just
to breathe
breathing
dirt?
fine
Yeah.
particulates is not a great idea, but it's not a lot of the year right now, and nor will it really ever be, because it really has to do with a certain number of fields that are at a certain point in their tillage that make them predisposed to a wind like this that comes in. So
It's not an issue. No way.
well, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just an observer, and that would
Yeah.
be my
Well, we are talking
observation.
about climate change. I think that we should be expecting, you know, the fires, the winds.
Well, our climate is very, right now, extremely different than what they're experiencing in California. California has been a dry place to be for hundreds of years, and it's way drier now, and it's way windier now, and so you have what's, you know, it's hundreds of billions of dollars worth of loss and human loss, and it would have been nice if we hadn't been denying that there was a climate issue 10, 20, and 30 years ago, and we could have gotten ahead of this, but we chose not to as a society, and that's unfortunate. And all we can do now is realize that this could exponentially get worse, and we've got to do what we can now with the time we have left.
Yeah.
So here's another possible item for the list. So with CPA money, some of it could be used for what Gary Berg has been talking about with the town hall. So there are some issues like not having working air conditioning in the town hall. It is possible, in the same way we use the Green Communities grant to pay for a lot of money around the schools and some money around DPW, that we could explore CPA money and the town hall and possibly fixing the air conditioner that they have there.
What does CPA stand? What is it?
The Community Preservation
Oh.
Act. AC at the town hall.
I noticed, isn't there supposed to be solar on, wasn't there some subject about putting solar on the libraries and on the library, and how's that moving along? Because I know that was,
Yeah, I think that's on hold until we figure out what to do about the roof.
okay, so
Will the roof need a significant repair, or can
So-
we run it for 20 or 30 years?
Okay.
You know, was very
So
much,
who's on that, and
I
what's the
actually-
status of that? I guess
Yeah.
maybe that should.
Nabbed me today. I was in the library, and he said they've hired this engineering company to take a very close look at the roof, and they're identifying all these problems with the way it was built.
Mm.
And I guess one really huge problem is, it's called, what we have on the library is called a hot roof.
Okay.
It's not ventilated. And shingle roofs, I mean, he said on the packages the shingles came in, it's specified, you will ruin your, basically, if you don't have the right foundation for these on the roof, then it X's out your warranty, and they put them on anyway. The foundation that they're built on was built for a metal roof.
And
So
that was
then-
always the hope, but at the time, they did not have the money in that account.
So it's like the architect or somebody high up on the project messed up because they didn't do due diligence about correcting the plans. They just left it the way it was and slapped shingles on it, which is wrong.
Well, and what might happen is the town has some legal resource if they go after the designer or the OPM for the project and just say, hey, or why did the building inspector for the town approve that roof if it was questionable with the design? So there's so many people to blame.
So I
On
guess
this?
what he said is our legal counsel's looking at it
Yeah.
now. To
Okay,
decide
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
who they're
Good
gonna
to
go
get.
after, because ideally, it's not the town's fault
Okay.
that the roof is messed up.
Right.
Other
Okay.
people are responsible.
It could have been town actors who made bad decisions.
Well, you can't hold the trustees responsible because they don't have the expertise. They rely on the architect.
Unless they got I have no idea what happened, but unless they got the expertise and ignored it.
No, we were there. No,
Yeah.
no, that's not what happened.
We had always wanted a metal roof because that roof would last 50 to 100 years. That just made sense. But at the end, they only had money for asphalt shingles. Now, it doesn't mean that this roof is constantly leaking. If you go into the Hadley Public Library, it's not leaking that much. I mean, and they had some caulking that broke down around the clerestory windows. There was some leaking there, but most of the roof is actually satisfactory.
But there are places where it's not sealed properly, where the different pitches meet.
Well, they had done about 20 cut-in samples, and most of them were actually acceptable. And
Yeah,
there
but
were
some
just
are
a
wet.
few areas where there were some problems. So can it be patched? Does it need a full repair?
Right.
We'll see. In the meantime, it might make more sense to put solar other places like the landfill. Because you have an open area that you cannot build anything else. You won't lose any trees.
Well, I don't think it's an either or. We are going for putting solar on the land.
Right. But I'm just saying, maybe the
That's where we
town
put
won't
it.
also put it on the library. The town is putting it on this building. They have the money in their account,
Well,
and
the
it's
senior
got a metal roof.
What's
and
going
it's
on
good
with
to
this
go.
building anyway? I mean, the solar's not on there yet.
It's imminent.
It is?
Yeah, the start of the project is imminent.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so maybe by next month or March, we'll see.
That would be so great.
Yeah.
Okay, good to get an update on that.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you think of any other ideas?
I'd love to get a Valley bike share station in
Right.
Hadley,
Right. I remember.
but I still haven't done a damn thing about it.
Well,
But
Valley bike
like
share.
to have some time.
I've been
to
a
maybe-
little busy with the other,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
in your life.
And you know, as you research that, I wonder if under the new management, if it's less to actually host a site? Or if it's the same as
Which new
before?
manager? Oh, right, there's a new, yeah, it's possible. I'll do a little more digging around when I get a sec.
Um, there's this other committee, and I think I missed the meeting, so I'm sorry if I don't sound informed, but this
Smart growth.
Smart growth. Did anything come of that
Well, he
conversation?
came, what was that guy's name? One of the people on the committee, that was the meeting that you missed, right after you
Yes.
brought that up.
Oh,
that we
Mark
set
Dunn.
it up, yeah,
Right.
Mark
Mark
Dunn.
Dunn.
Mark Dunn.
And he
yeah.
talked to us quite a bit, but it seems like their focus is mostly housing,
Uh-huh,
so,
okay, just curious about that.
yeah.
Because I thought that there could be some interesting conversation there, but. Okay.
So Catalina, how do you feel about doing a little exploration about PFAS and plastics? I'll ask around Leverett
Yeah.
and see what else they learned
Mhm.
along the way
Yeah.
with their issues and concerns.
Yeah. I will write down. Yeah. The only problem I'm leaving for several weeks
Okay.
away, so it's
All right.
yeah.
And certainly I can take on CPA and air conditioning at the town hall. I think Gary Berg would be quick to help with that. Kathy, do you know Gary?
I know who he is, yes.
Okay. I don't know if you've ever worked with him much.
I have not worked with him.
All right. So I can take a look at that. Michael, are you willing to do a little work around the Valley Bike site?
Yeah.
Okay. This is MD. JCCA. How would we find out more about topsoil erosion?
Talk to farmers. I don't know, I mean, we kinda know what's going on, right? I mean, Michael was just saying, it is kind of a thing in Hadley, but how can we help it when there's so many farms?
Hmm.
I mean, you said cover crop. Is that something that is a practice?
Mhm.
It depends on the farm. There are some farmers that traditionally put in their cover crops very, very late and then get very poor erosion control. There's other farmers who will do it early and make sure that they don't lose a lot of topsoil to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And that depends what they're growing, when, and
Mhm.
which
Right,
group.
right,
Yeah.
what they're growing,
Yeah.
right, and we've,
But
and
by
the
and large-
seasons are getting later.
That's right.
No farmer's gonna act to watch their topsoil blow away.
Yeah, but by and large, this
Yeah.
area compared to the Midwest and anywhere else is
Mm.
huge participation in terms
Okay.
of cover cropping.
Mhm.
Right, just
Right.
everybody does it. if they
Well,
can.
so it's not
I'll-
there is
I'll do a
knowledge.
little bit of
There is
research on
acknowledge
that.
and awareness
Just-
that is happening or something like
It's
Well,
that.
maybe-
mostly
what is
money.
that,
Yeah.
my brain's
It's
dead
expensive to
tonight.
put down seed that you're
I'll
not gonna
do some
harvest
research
anything
on
from.
just like, you know,
Well, there's that agency, what do you call that?
Soil Conservation Service,
What is it?
U.S. Soil Conservation
I
Service.
guess, and there's a Hadley office. See what they have
Yeah.
to say about it.
so,
But you know, you're right in saying about it depends what type of crop,
Mhm.
because if you're harvesting something like potatoes that you dig late because of the market or
Right.
because of the weather or because of pricing,
just when you have time to dig up your
yeah,
potatoes.
you might not be able to get the rye in
Right, right.
and do that.
And whether it's warm enough in the end for it to catch and grow, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of variables.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'll just do a little bit of research.
Thanks.
And get back to us, or, you know, to bring that up.
Also, would be good like if we put that as a call for the community of what is the worry in the community, what people would like, you know, us to help or. Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to do that?
Mm.
You could ask the folks here when they in their public comment if
Well,
they
you
have
could
any
show up
ideas.
for Mr. Golding's group and bring it up as a topic.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one.
Unfortunately, I work on Saturdays, so I can't do that.
Well, also a questionnaire that could be like available in a website.
What website?
The town where we have our thing about the climate change, a questionnaire like people can say like name or
Yeah.
what do you think like we can be researching and
Yeah, you know, I feel fortunate because we have a family camp in Leverett, and we're part of Leverett Connects.
yeah,
And that connects about 2/3 of the citizens in town,
yeah,
where almost instantly you can get their opinions
Yes.
instead of just getting it from a handful.
right, yeah. And we don't have
So
that
what
here.
about setting that up? Like, how would we have something like that in Haddon?
Yeah, library flyers in library, flyers here, flyers in the town
I
hall.
feel like that's not, people
Doesn't work.
don't,
Not
People
flyers.
doesn't.
right, but
No,
Hadley,
like that thing.
set up a Hadley Connects.
Oh, that was a good one.
Hadley has a few different Facebook sites,
Yeah.
but it really depends on who's on Facebook and who's
Yeah.
avoiding
Right,
Facebook.
right,
and
right,
you
right.
know, you have a whole youth population that you
Right.
completely
No, but-
miss because they're not on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right.
But Leverett
Me, I say
Connects
no
is
more
an
Facebook.
independent group, right?
Right, right.
Can you ask the administrator?
That was very, very, very complex for them to set up. And also keep in mind, Leverett is really different. First of all, it's an older population. Secondly, it's very much a rural population. And it was difficult for them.
smaller.
And it's 1,500 people compared to 5,500 people
Yeah.
like Hadley.
Yeah.
There's no one good way where the fire department or the police department can message everybody in town. And it's-
Well, they could. There's robocalls. I mean, Sunderland does it. Anything that comes up, you get an automatic call.
We have Nixle in town. You get text messages.
yeah, I just wonder how many people are signed up for that.
What's it
Uh,
called?
Nixle, I think.
Do you get
I
anything
get
else
them.
from the town, like about road closures? and
No, I
stuff?
don't
No.
get anything.
Yeah, you
Is
have to
that something-
sign up for it.
Mm.
Go to the
Suggested.
town website.
Yeah. Well, you know, these topics that we brainstormed today are a good start, and I will see at the meeting on January 18th what people are saying. I
Yeah.
have signed up for that
Is there
one.
a way in town meeting, every town meeting and make an announcement to people? I don't know, like we can create like a, I don't know.
Maybe, but there again, Catalina, you're dealing with, I think
Just a
we
little
had
bit.
180 people,
You are right.
160
Yeah.
people
Yeah, yeah,
at the last town meeting out of 5,500.
yeah, you're
It's
right.
such a small slice.
Yeah,
And it tends to be the people who are more politically active
right.
who
yeah.
go.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people who just don't.
right. Well, let's brainstorm
Yeah.
Yeah.
about, is there a
Does
way
it-
to connect people in society, in our town to
Does
be,
Leverett Connects have some voting capacity or?
No
it's
voting
ju- it's just,
capacity.
it's just like.
It
Facebook.
is the
It's a-
town crier for 2025.
Okay, got it.
But whether people are getting rid of 5 extra gallons of paint or some paneling or,
It's like next
Um,
door or something.
well, it's next door, but it's not sponsored, no ads.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all free. So if you have issues, you
It just
know,
has to do with Leverett.
today they were asking about how does the protected woodlands in the valley impact Shutesbury's solar site. You know, so you know, it was a chance for people to share their opinions.
Yeah.
And also there's been a lot of buzz lately about the Kittredge project. You know, there's, I don't know how many acres, 60 acres, and the Kittredge family is trying to sell it for development, but Leverett doesn't have the infrastructure, so they need Amherst help to do that, and how that's going to impact them. So there's just
Yeah,
been
it's a
lots of
big
buzz
topic.
about different meetings,
Yeah.
different issues. All right, thanks.
Yeah, okay.
And that brings us to public comment, and we have 15 minutes total allocated for public comment, up to 3 minutes per person.
A question, you're talking about the Leverett water. What is PFAS? I don't even know what it is. You're talking about the polluted wells with PFAS. What is PFAS?
Can I look it up?
I don't know.
I don't
It's
know it off.
It's a
Forever chemical.
Forever
it's
chemicals.
PFOS.
PFAS, yeah.
It's
P-
It's a
A-
group of chemicals that don't break down.
And what's the source of those?
They're
Teflon
all
for
over
one,
the
so
place.
PFAS chemicals. So PFAS explained from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, from the EPA. You know, I'm no chemical expert on this, but PFAS news, let's see what they're saying. PFAS are widely used, long-lasting chemicals. They're also in raincoats. So if you're familiar with Gore-Tex coating on raincoats, that's another source of
Or
PFAS.
any kind, lots of different
Yeah.
kinds of coats.
They're components which break down very slowly. Because of their widespread use and their persistence in the environment, many PFAS are found in the blood of people and animals all over the world and are present at low levels in a variety of food products. And in the environment, they're found in water, air, fish, soil, and at locations across the nation and the globe. And scientific studies have shown that some PFAS in the environment may be linked to harmful health effects in humans and animals. And there are thousands of PFAS chemicals, and they're found in different consumer, commercial, and industrial products. This makes it challenging to study.
FOS.
PFAS. Yeah.
So especially the old Teflon pans, like even now, the ones with the coating on them, unless it says on the label PFAS free, I mean, some of them have lead in them. You want the label to say free of this, 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 and this. Or they're saying the best thing to use is stainless steel or what do you call
Cast
it?
iron.
Cast iron. Because there's so much.
PFAS, in terms of their health impacts,
Junk
according to
in
this,
the-
is liver damage, thyroid disease, obesity, fertility issues, and cancer. They're not nice.
And there's
They're
a
not-
very big worry that is getting in the water, and people, we are drinking this, so it's like,
Every time you wash your Teflon pan,
yeah.
little bits of it are going into the water system.
Yeah.
But, and like our coats, I mean, if you wear a raincoat, it's like bad for the environment.
Well,
We need to go back to the old yellow rubber
It
stickers.
depends on the brand. You know,
Yeah.
some other things won't shed those chemicals,
Right,
but some do.
yeah.
It's kind of like the plastic issue, where they're finding plastic in the blood of so many people when they go in for blood tests.
Or polyester.
Yeah.
Like our water's just full of it. Every time you wash your polyester clothes, little bits. We're all we're gonna end up being
Yeah.
partially plastic.
So let me reset. This is the time for public comment. So 15 minutes allocated for public comment, up to 3 minutes a person. Was there a follow-up, Tom? You're sort of,
No, just, I
Okay.
had never heard of that before.
yeah, and it's
Right,
it's a pretty big deal. How big of a deal? I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
I just wondered, okay.
And Tom, later on, I have it.
Yeah.
Okay, good book. Please.
As a side note, I bought a new frying pan this afternoon. It's PFAS free this afternoon. It cost a small fortune, and I was thinking, why did I was crazy to buy it. It cost so much, but because it was PFAS
Thank
free, I
you.
just bought it in Northampton this afternoon.
It said PFAS free on the
I
label.
asked them, and I had to check. It's in the trunk of my car. I was gonna return it. I'm like, I must have been crazy spending that much money. But that's just a sidebar that you just brought up. In my humble opinion, I believe the topic of rivers and dams is an excellent topic for this committee to pursue. I think by inviting Mr. Mason, Michael Mason, to a meeting, you will create awareness and an action plan. I thought the links on your agenda were very informative, but somewhat vague in the sense, I know you didn't write them, but they were very informative. But what is the action plan? Who is
Exactly.
calling who and who is doing what in
Right.
time of crises? And I think that would be the ultimate goal, is an action plan for Hadley, for the rivers, the dams, the dike, etc. Because as you can see what happened in California, there was no action plan. Not to point fingers, but I think we could create something by inviting Michael Mason, and he may not have the answers, but we're putting a spotlight on this topic that I think most residents take for granted. People know it's a problem, but they don't pursue it any further. And that said, I believe this committee could push that topic to the next level, whether it be with Senator Comfort or whomever. Okay, great, we had a meeting, what's the plan? What is the plan? Also, regarding First Light and Power, I'm unclear what their role is with this. I looked at them online and I really couldn't understand what they have to do with us, and I think it's tremendous if your brother met with them. But what is their role with the rivers and dams here in Hadley?
Sure.
Would be.
Anything else?
That's a mouthful. That's good.
So, First Light and Power has bought the Northfield Power Station. You know how they'll pump water up into the reservoir, and then they'll release it at other times to make energy.
Okay. The
They've-
synchronization that we're discussing.
They've also bought the Turner's Falls Dam
Okay.
that keeps in Barton's Cove. That was the town I used to teach in, and I'm very familiar with some of their work. They originally were from down south. They have since been bought by Canadian investors.
But they're in the business of making hydropower.
They're in the business of making money for their shareholders. And that's not a criticism. That's what they do. And it's just a thing. They used to be more generous. They used to actually give $1,000 per school in Franklin County and other people who applied. I know I've applied for their grant and received it for my school. Since that time, they have not been doing those grants for teachers. But that's them as best as I know. So, they actually used to have a base up here in Northfield that now they don't have anymore. That was kind of their local area headquarters.
Don't
Would they be part of the action plan? Are they like a contact person?
Maybe.
And that's
No,
part of where
they're
inviting
doing their
Michael
own
Mason
thing up
is
there.
Well,
who
I-
calls who and who does what.
Well, I also think that Michael Spanknabel is a person in town who knows all about public safety. So he would also be another good person to go to.
Michael Spink.
But I think the thing that you're
Yes.
bringing up, which I think is really helpful and useful, is
NAGEL.
there's trying to prevent it by figuring out how to get these dams to work together. If it's possible, if we get a 500-year flood, which we will someday, not much that can be done. The water's going to come over those dams and through them and around them. What are we doing, Hadley? What's our action plan here? How do we get senior citizens to higher ground? How do we notify people that the water's coming up? The water's not going to come up that fast. It's
And
Yeah,
can
so-
it be prevented?
Well, some of it we can't. That's part of the law is that every town along the river has to have an area that they will allow to flood. Like nobody's allowed to build a dike along the whole length of their town on the river and send it all downstream. We all have to take our fair share of flood.
because if
But
we
that-
didn't, it's not a question of sending it downstream. If everybody does that, everything just explodes.
Yeah, right.
It comes.
So is that what the honey pot is in Hadley? Would you say that that's kind of an?
It serves that purpose, the
Yes.
area beyond the
Down
dike,
by what's
beyond the
that
dam.
road down there?
Aquavita.
Yeah,
What?
beyond the dike, that would be open
Yes.
area
Yes.
that's open to
Yeah.
flooding.
Yeah.
The other thing that needs to be checked always is the dikes in Hadley.
Well, that's the thing is our dike. We just need to make sure it's going to be fixed.
But again, our dike doesn't go around the whole town.
Right. But there also were problems with part of the dike
Yeah.
sloughing off and falling into
Yeah.
the river and things like that. So it's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Tony?
I would just, I agree with Sue's comments about about that river is a good initiative to manage the dams and
Flood control.
right, exactly. And there was also an effort from this committee last year to do some things with the ditches and the streams. That's a great initiative to continue. I spoke with Scott, the DPW, a while back about Russell Brook in North Hadley, which was once a very running running brook, which is now pretty much grown over and beavered out, and it hardly flows at all. But that's something that would really help North Hadley, because that was at one time you could fish in. It was a running stream. Now it's pretty much overgrown. Just pretty much swampy out there. Something like that could be a really good project that would.
Apparently you have to ask for some kind of a special dispensation, because all of those ditches now are subject to the wetlands protection.
Well, that's an actual. It's not a ditch. It's a Russell Brooks waterway, and so
What's it
Oh,
called?
no. Yeah.
Russellville Brook
Let
is
let Tony
the official
go.
name.
It's his time. Go ahead.
So that and there are other things. My focus is as far as climate goes is on protecting land, protecting farmland, protecting woodland, protecting our environment, our water sources. There was some discussion of restoring the wells on Mount Warner. We once had really good water in Hadley, Warner. So something like that would be great. Just focus on protecting our land, protecting our resources, farmland and woodland, so that as administrations change, as priorities change, as funding changes, that we have a consistent message for Hadley is that we're protecting our farmland, we're going to do the most efficient energy and clean energy as we possibly can, while protecting our farmland and our forest. That's a consistent message that we can keep regardless of which administration is going, or what the funding is.
Thank you. I do want to say, in response to a question that came up last meeting, Kathy and I asked Michael Mason about, new president coming in on the 21st or whenever he's getting inaugurated. And he confirmed that this is a town committee. We report to the select board, and that's where that all stands.
Yanks a lot until it
Well,
has
and
some effect on us.
Yeah. So we will keep going. Part of the problem with some of the wells on Mount Warner is a lot of them were actually polluted by some of the fireworks, even that we used to send off on North Hadley Pond.
I've always heard that, Jack, but
I remember
I don't,
Michael
is that
talking
really
to
possible?
me.
I heard that since I was a kid. I don't really buy it. I don't see how that's once a year fireworks. That's the story that we're always told, but I don't really.
They do it
I don't think they're
dump the
sure. I don't think
fireworks
they're
into
sure of the
water.
link. You're right. I mean, the water has perchlorate in it. Perchlorate is a chemical that is found in fireworks and rocket fuel and a few other things. So there's no smoking gun. It definitely is. There's definitely perchlorate in the water, though, and it's extremely toxic. And it's extremely toxic in really tiny little amounts. So who knows what did it?
One more point, if I could just quickly.
Sure.
I've never been a fan of those electric bikes on the bike trail. I know as a bike share, as usual, I'm in the minority probably, but they go about 25 miles an hour. They zip by you. They're electric bikes, and they're still only maybe 3 to 6% is charged by renewable or clean energy. Most of it's charged by coal. It's just that they're motorized vehicles on the bike trail. So I've never seen the appeal of that. I've ridden them. They're a blast.
Oh, I was going to say I was going to let you ride one of mine.
No, I rode one in Colorado over a whole mountain. I didn't break a sweat. But it's so they're a lot of fun. But as far as like the benefit to the town of it, just I don't see it. But you can go ahead and explore it. But it would actually cost the town money, and they're kind of motorized vehicles. But
What would cost the town money?
it's like $4,000 or $5,000 was the last one
Yeah, something like
annually.
But the sign says no motorized vehicles on the bike trail, even though the electric bikes use it
I think
all the
they're
time,
electric assist.
which I don't
They're not
understand.
motorized. I think it's electric assist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they go. You just have to barely move your
It's
feet.
a
They-
motor. It's a motor.
They fly. Well, some of them.
There
And that
are
would be-
rules on the bike
yeah.
path about how fast you can go. And if people are exceeding those speeds, then that would be an enforcement issue.
And The bike path is DCR. We don't control it. I will say Northampton just repaved their bike path in some areas, and it's absolutely beautiful. I had a chance to walk it a week ago. It's amazing. It's a little wider, it's flat, it's gorgeous. And I think the bike path is a really good thing. I'm actually going to add that to the list. Also, I want to let you know that our next meeting's on February 13th. Hang on, I just want to jot down the bike path thing.
Tony,
And-
what's that brook you were talking about?
Russellville Brook.
Russell
It
Bill.
goes, it comes in from Sunderland, up in the, Montague,
Yeah.
that area, it empties, the mouth of the Russell Brook is down across, kind of near where Stockwell Road, in that area, and,
So you think it's a natural stream, it's not an agricultural ditch?
no, it's a
It's a
running,
natural stream.
it's on the maps, and it's just got, for a while, I think it got beavered out, and it's very swampy.
Well, and like the North Hadley Pond, like almost any other pond or river or brook, I mean, they sort of change naturally and they eutrify and all of that. I do want to mention that on February 13th, at that meeting, we have invited someone from Mass Audubon to come in via Zoom. She lives in eastern Massachusetts. She cannot drive over here to share some things that she knows about the climate bill. The climate bill has nothing to do with Mass Audubon, but they are a group that can report on it because they have more knowledge than we do. So just,
They care about the bill.
and I'm not sure again if she can make it on the 13th, but she's scheduled to make it to one of our meetings. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so with all that said, at 8:02, I propose that we adjourn this meeting,
My second.
all right, and vote. All right,
Aye.
thank you.